Hey guys, so in this video I'm going to try to explain why in my first Genshin video and my Tree of Life video I put out the speculation that the Traveler must be an archon or a god entity or something of the sort. So in here I'm gonna try to explain my thoughts as to why and what are other possibilities that could be true. So I'm gonna try to explain this in chronological order from how I perceive things while being new to the game and playing through the game. So my first thought is when we first started the game, our characters, the Traveler, is Lumine and Aerher, or Aether, however it's pronounced. But then this brings me to the Greek pantheon, which is Aether and his sister Khaenri'ah, which, what are they exactly? They are the children of Nyx, a primordial one, and they are children of light. They are the day, they are the light. What is the Travelers? They are light. That's our power. That's, if we're Archon, that's what our power is. We're light. So right off the bat I had the suspicion that we are not just some kind of alien traveler from another world or dimension. We are actually of the heavens. That's what I was thinking. Why no one else knows of us? I don't know. Maybe this is our first time entering into this, lower plane where the mortals lie. I don't know. And then this also further explained why we are able to take on every single element that exists, unlike everybody else in the world, including the other archons. Because light is able to, in the spectrum of light, there's all the other colors. Which instantly brought me to the logic of Green Lantern stuff, where there's different color rings that have different emotions and different powers, and they're drawing from different power sources. The light ring, however, is all of them combined. You're able to harness everything at once. That is what we are. We are able to use all of them. Perhaps not all at once, perhaps not yet, but we are able to use all of them, and we are the only one who can. Which means this is light, which we should have already known from the start because we were wielding pure light from the beginning. However, then just like everyone else, I continued to play the game and look at all the other story and kind of put this, in the back of my mind for a while. However, when it came to Khaenri'ah, it sparked this in my mind, and the reason is because I was trying to figure out what the heck could the Khaenri'ahs have done to deserve to get completely obliterated the way that they did. By the gods, obviously. So I was thinking perhaps they glimpsed, maybe the answer is out there somewhere, because I'm new to Genshin and I don't know everything. I'm not claiming to know everything, so maybe the answer is here and I'm wrong. But from my point of view, there is no answer yet, so I'm just trying to figure out what it could be. So my thought is perhaps they glimpsed and perhaps even mastered something that they shouldn't have, and that something, I believe, is they either got the ability to ascend to becoming an archon, or they got the ability to create their own archon from scratch somehow. Why am I assuming this to begin with? I believe it's because they were trying to edit the world tree. However, they couldn't manage to do it, so I feel like they try to find a workaround, and the workaround would be to have an archon do it for them. Why am I taking this massive leap to assume that they created an archon at all? Simply because there's 2 extra archons in the world that are unaccounted for and aren't in the same category as the other ones. And the Khaenri'ahs obviously did something massive to get on the hit list of the gods. And this would definitely be something massive that you would get smited for, right? So all of this would be implying that we are of Khaenri'ah. We are the archons of Khaenri'ah. Artificial archons, obviously, but that's what I was thinking, because Khaenri'ah says that they don't have gods of their own, so I figured they had created gods of their own or ascended some people to being their gods or archons. As well as I suspected that Paimon perhaps in the past was our Adeptus. So how I think the timescale played out here, if this would be true, is the Khaenri'ahs created gods or ascended some of their people to be gods. However, I don't think that this got the attention of the other gods or the archons yet. I think after they would then create it, then they now had the ability to manipulate the world tree, and when they attempted to, that's when things went wrong. Just because they were able to manipulate it doesn't mean they were proficient at it, so I think they screwed up somehow. So something went wrong while they were trying to do it, and then this got the attention of the archons. Perhaps they triggered something and they got some knowledge they shouldn't have got, and they started to corrupt stuff, or perhaps they made a mistake. I don't know what happened, but I think whatever happened was big enough that it sent the beacon, and then the other archons, the other gods, were now aware of the light archons and of the Khaenri'ahs messing with the tree, and then this is what got them smited or sealed away, whatever happens to them. This was my logic, and that's why at the beginning of the game you're fighting this god to try to manipulate the world tree to bring your people back. But we then lost and got ourselves sealed as well. So all of that speculation I had was a video I had already made, and I was going to post before I posted my Tree of Life video. However, I felt like it just wasn't good enough, so I waited, and I'm glad I did, because I don't believe that this is the full story. I think this is close to the full story, but I think there was missing pieces here that I didn't fully understand yet, and now that I have some of these pieces, it's altering the conclusion just a bit. So let me explain these new puzzle pieces, and some of them are like in Khaenri'ah. I didn't even know that existed before. I had just recently got Yemiko, and then she needed material, and then I found out what the material was, and I found it in Khaenri'ah, and it gave me a whole new lore to work with, as well as then the new Archon quest came out and stuff like that, further progressing the story for the Wanderer and stuff like that. It just gave me more and more to build this hypothesis. Before, it was just some random thought in the back of my head that wasn't really coherent, and now it's starting to actually form into a hypothesis that is probably likely. Okay, so first, the Khaenri'ahs had created something like an Archon of Light in the past. I didn't even know this was a thing. This was like mind-blowing to me. I was shocked myself that I was close to the truth at all, because it was just a random thought in my mind. Is that us that they're referring to in the story? I don't know. Is that like our parents? I don't know. But the fact that they had theoretically created an Archon, or have an Archon of Light by some means, exist in the story. However, I don't think that we were created by the Khaenri'ahs anymore. I think that that's just what they wanted us to believe. And I'm going to get back to that. First, I want to show these puzzle pieces and flesh it out so you guys could come to the same conclusion yourself. So the next puzzle piece is that your sibling actually has records in the tree at some point, but we do not. We are twins, and that means we have to come from the same place. We were birthed of the same parents, or created of the same source at the same time. Therefore, if we come from outside the world, but the tree is saying that our sibling comes from inside the world, then obviously the tree was manipulated. The data is edited. So either we do come from this world and our data was pulled out of it, or we don't come from this world and our siblings' data was put into the tree. Either way, the tree was edited, from my point of view, by the Khaenri'ahs, which inevitably led to their destruction. And the next puzzle piece is that stuff we learned from the Wanderer's Quest, which is that the world tree, you're not altering reality, you're altering people's perception, or at least at that level of editing it is. However, the main point that I'm trying to make here is that you can't edit everything. Fairy tales manage to escape because they're not, historical fact or whatever. So they manage to slip by this editing that happens when you edit the tree. Therefore, like I said in the past, I'm never going to believe anything that is said in Genshin or written down in scripture or people's memory. I'm never going to believe it because it can be edited. But now we know that fairy tales bypass this. So that means you can trust fairy tales. You just have to try to dissect what is the main point of the fairy tale, and then that would be what the actual story is, unedited. No matter how many times you edit the world tree, that will survive. So with that new knowledge being known, it now made me look at the battle pass story, which I always had like rushed through and not even paid attention to for some reason. I don't know what's wrong with me. But next time I rolled around, I obviously paid extreme attention to it, because now I know that there is truth in the story. From the very beginning, they told us how things were, and I just wasn't paying attention. Perhaps you weren't paying attention either. But this is the actual story of what actually happened. It's just coded in fairy tale. So what the fairy tale is basically saying from my point of view is that the people of Celestia, which are not considered the same as people from Teyvat, they are not recorded by the world tree, is what I believe. So us, the traveler, we are from Celestia. That is our people. This is our story. This is our fairy tale. And what happened is that our sibling ended up getting manipulated by the Khaenri'ahs into believing that they are the ruler of the Khaenri'ahs, and that's why they're under this delusion or whatever. I'm not aware how it happened, just that it did happen. Our sibling may not be completely hostile to us yet, but they may be, because they're on an opposing force. All of that so far kind of does match my original thought that was in the back of my head, because if the Archon, the light Archon that the Khaenri'ahs had, was your sibling in history, then it makes sense. And they did manage to edit the world tree, which led to some kind of corruption, which then led to their destruction or their ensealment or whatever happened. And your sibling is in the world tree, the data is in the world tree. This could have been one of the things that they edited. However, there are a few more puzzle pieces, but these puzzle pieces came from me. Like in my Genshin Hypothesis video and my Tree of Life video, there's data in there that you should probably know. But I'm just gonna quickly note them here. So in my Tree of Life video, I kind of revealed that the whole point of the tree is to gain enlightenment, spiritual knowledge, the Gnosis. And I had explained in that video that the top point, the crown, in the original language is Aether. And if you were to simply change that K to an A, you have one of the traveler's names, which is Aether, or Ether, however it's pronounced. In that video, I had also explained how each vision is obtained, or Sephiroth, by the Tree of Life standards, not by Genshin, but it matches so perfectly that all of you should probably go look at it just for that. Skip all the rest, it's not important, but that part is pretty spot on. So that's why I think this is what Genshin was doing. This is why I had pushed this so hard. But one other note is that one of the Sephiroths in there, one of the visions in there is of light, implying that there is an Archon of light. And I was proposing in that video that it's us, the main character. Specifically, perhaps probably Lumine and not Aether, because Aether is already on this chart, but Lumine is not. So perhaps this one is Lumine. And it even describes this Archon as beauty. Which then, if you look at my first video about Genshin, which I implied that a lot of people think that Paimon is some great evil that serves some greater evil because her name is the servant of Lucifer. And in that video I had implied that Paimon is completely loyal to us, so this would imply that we are Lucifer in Genshin. We are the fallen one, we are the morning star. I went over that in my video, that was weeks ago. And Lucifer is said to be the most beautiful angel. And all of this does kind of match, because like we are a rebel to this world. We are a fallen one that is going against all of the rules and regulations of this world, and is changing the hearts and minds of the people, going against the wishes of the god of this world. So we do look like the evil one. We do look like the devil from this god's point of view, right? However, that's only from this god's point of view. So let's bring it back to the world tree for a second. Because other things to describe the Archon of Light is like light, beauty, harmony. It's supposed to be someone that can hold all of the opposing energies within themselves. They're the only one who can connect with all of the other elements, all of the other visions. This one is supposed to be the light, the sun, enlightened consciousness. This one is mercy and compassion. This one's about balance and kindness. This one is sacrifice, balance, and empathy. This one is basically like supposed to be a messiah, something that tries to save the world, perhaps is even sacrificed in the process of it. That would make us more like a Jesus figure rather than a devil figure. But you have to understand that that god of this world is not the overall god. This is a demiurge, which I explained in my Gnosticism / Tree of Life video, which you should probably go see. I know I'm kind of talking in circles here, but it kind of all loops around and connects to itself, because it all seems like it is perfectly matching. However, there are a few more things I should throw in here, because what does all this imply, right? And first, let me talk about, because in my first video I kind of said that like I don't think anything is alive on Celestia. It looks like a dead orbiting satellite kind of thing. Has my opinion changed? No, I think that there's no one on Celestia. Perhaps Celestia has some kind of like Stargate on it, and it's just like a temple up there, but I don't think there's any gods or people up there. Maybe Seele's the most, or whatever Paimon is. Maybe some of her things are up there, but that's it. At least on our side of the gate, if there's a gate up there, which if Gnosticism is what Genshin is doing, there is a gate up there. One other thing to note is you may be wondering if I am actually correct that Lumine and Aether are archons of light. How come we're not manipulated by the world tree like everyone else, right? Like there's other archons, and Paimon herself, she's some strange entity. How come they're all affected by, you know, the world tree being edited, but not us? I think it's because though we are part of the same pantheon, we are not created by the Demiurge. We are from a different branch, perhaps even above him. Likely created with the intention of ending his little world here, or ending his rule over this world. But that's all I'm gonna say about that for now. Anyway, I know I don't know absolutely everything about Genshin, so there's probably other information out there that would make this a more solid hypothesis, or maybe it might even alter the conclusion a bit. I don't know, but if you know, write it in the comments, and you know, we'll have this evolve. But anyway, thanks for watching, guys, and I hope to see you next time.